Oh, it's you again. I've been hoping you'd find your way back here.
Greetings and salutations, everyone. I'm Mac, and we come to the end of another year. Weirdly, I think my gaming this year has been mainly frustrating. A lot of difficult, time-consuming challenges that made me feel ever so irritable, and that did at the time seem like a good theme for the year, but let's try and be a bit more positive. Even though I've been frustrated a lot, I have overcome each challenge as they appeared, so instead we're going to make it about that. 5 major milestones I achieved this year, being faced with a difficult challenge and overcoming it. So let's get started. Oxygen Not Included is a game I like playing but never got around to beating. I enjoy the early game challenges like trying to cram Carnivore and Locavore into those first 100 days, even biomes that aren't good for it. But then I get to the late game and it gets too time consuming and I fall out of interest. Then a month or so later I come back and start a new colony. So it's a pretty big deal to me that I finally got to an ending. Full Steam Ahead is surprisingly simple compared with the other game completion achievements. All you need to do is start the machine back up, then cycle oil through it a few times. Bingo, you now have liquids hot enough to melt lead and unlock the final steam vent. I guess I can't be too impressed with myself when I'm getting this on a DLC biome, but I don't know. The fact that I saw one of my runs finally come to an end is quite nice. On the Mouse is a bit of a curious game. You play as Holly, a cute girl darting up a maid cafe. Unfortunately, she's also a mouse girl, so this game is as much a platform as it is a Diner Dash XP. She recruits some friends, continues to serve the escalating demands, even as her naturally bad luck draws problems to her establishment. Except it's not naturally bad luck. In the game's final act, it's revealed that all the bad things that are happening magic-inflicted Murphy's Law, thanks to a rival cafe of black cats. If something can go wrong, then it will. Only now the rival cafe has given up on playing nice, and they're just throwing their elemental magic at us as well. And it's also illusions, so the guests can't see it either, go figure. In Shift 18, you have to try and give a good impression on the cafe's previous owner, where you have to deal with twice as many elemental magics. However, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about Shift 19. Even though you aren't being judged, the magic is being pushed to its limit. You have to deal with every elemental magic at once, at maximum power. I did not enjoy this. Up until this point, I could ensure every customer is served and walks out happy. But the amount of trouble the wind magic alone can cause can keep you from work for a precious few seconds, let alone when you've also got fireballs and falling rocks that can destroy your served food. The only saving grace is that the game introduced fairy dust as an additive, letting you cheer up the guests that are starting to get unhappy. And yet, I've had to beat this twice. I beat this on my own time. I decided to let's play the game, and I knew that I would have to come back to Shift 19, and yet I still did it. I can't say that, and I got the gold rank, so I can't say that I haven't mastered the game. Can't say it wasn't with my own merit. I can say that I'm not happy that the ending to Shift 19 is the cats have decided to step it up even further with kidnapping and murder attempts. After all the effort I put in, you'd think that I'd get a better reward. Maybe getting to beat up the cats is what counts.
Nice! Ellie Minibot, at your service.
This year, Comic Foil and Greenstalk Scorpion started a Let's Play for Unicorn Overlord. After watching a few episodes, I decided to dig out my copy and play through as well. I actually did beat the game, and then for some reason I decided to play the game on the unlocked harder difficulty. I feel this game does a pretty good job of making its own identity despite it being quite reminiscent of Fire Emblem. And it's not nearly as punishing on grinding as modern FE is, I appreciate that. But to balance it out, it does give you the chance to attempt things you aren't quite strong enough for. The game just gives you warnings, it'll absolutely let you bite off more than you can chew. And yeah, it's kind of fun. Fighting my way through to Malia while underleveled was a pretty good challenge. However, trying to beat Elaine's grandfather isn't. As you play through the game, completing quests, you build up renown. At certain amounts of renown, you gain a rank up, increasing the strength of your army. However, S rank has a very special reward for you. The Holy Unicorn Blade, a sword for Elaine that gives him immunity to all debuffs and a +1 in AP and PP. That's pretty good stuff. The game was hinting towards the Royal Mausoleum having something cool in it, but it's never brought up the have to tear it from his grandfather's cold dead fingers. He will challenge you to a fight. It is a very tough formation to beat, and unlike most challenges, you do have to kill everyone on the field. Or it doesn't count, he sends you away, you don't get to keep it. Trying to figure this out on my own wasn't fun, even when I could figure out how to kill Geralt. There's a tanky Vanguard in his corner that can just outlast the rest of your damage. I eventually figured it out, and I did actually go on to best him at an even lower level than expected on my replay. The stuff you get from him, this is actually helpful for fighting the true final boss. It just says it's all that when I looked him a second time, I immediately went to looking for a guide. I've already gone through that nonsense once. I don't need to do it again. It's hard to believe that we're almost at the next canto of Limbus Company. Ryoshu's trauma is just around the corner. Let's talk about the ones that have actually come out. Like most Project Moon nonsense, there were very painful difficulty spikes in the bosses in this canto. Lei Heng and Jia Q. And Project Moon actually issued an apology for their overuse of unbreakable coins. They were meant to be cool and show off what the enemy attacks looked like, but these fights weren't fun. You're supposed to beat a skill to reduce the damage, but because they also inflict burn and rupture, they're still dealing unavoidable damage that's going to kill everyone anyway. And I somehow managed to beat both of them blind on my first try. I'd say between the two of them, I consider Jia Q to be the bigger achievement, because he's just such a long slog of a marathon. Jia Q wants Honglu to answer his question: what does the Hierarch need? And unfortunately, Honglu is very used to not giving his own opinion and just saying what people want to hear, leading to Jia Q deciding to beat the answer out of him and everyone else in his vicinity. The sheer amount of attrition damage that Jia Q can deal is immense, let alone what happens if he actually wins a clash. And yeah, I did actually manage to get through with minimal casualties. I suppose you could make the argument that Lei Heng is the far harder fight because we needed Sapling of Light Powers to win it, and I legit made it down to one person left before I got the scripted finish. Let's be fair, both of them are equal achievements. I guess my deciding factor here is, when all is equal, which of these two would win in a fight? I think that makes the choice pretty obvious. And so we come to the end of the list. Another game that's been in my backlog for way too long without being beaten. And it's not for lack of trying, I've tried before. But the end game is very intimidating to me. For the unaware, at day 46 your standard challenges across the day are replaced with the Ordeals of Light. High tier bosses that will spawn in increasingly large numbers, ending with the Claw Superboss. Usually my inability to beat them nicely would make me intimidated to go any further because the days that follow will be worse. But this year I resolved myself. I would beat this game. And it wasn't clean. My first attempt against the claw had a fatality, so I needed to reset for that. Day 47 features hefty stat debuffs alongside obscuring the UI and scrambling work orders. Day 48 returns damage multipliers and gives a red match against the red mist. And then, oh boy, day 49. Day 49 has you face two of the harshest challenges in the game. Okma's penalty for pausing, and an arbiter at the same time. It is a bloody mess. I didn't have the gear piece that would have made it far more manageable. But I managed it. I beat day 49. I beat day 50. I found out that there's actually a twist in day 50 that can make it a last minute hit trauma, and I still beat that. I've beaten Lobotomy Corp. I finally beat Lobotomy Corp. I can't really aspire for better than that. I know that this year hasn't been great for a lot of people. All we can do is move forward for a better tomorrow. So sincerely, truly, take care everyone. I'll see you all around.